Hello everyone, with Splatoon 3 coming out very soon, in 3 days as I'm recording this, thought I'd give you my thoughts on the Testfire that I played about 10 hours of. The game felt really smooth. It felt really nice. It feels like Splatoon. Something of note though is when I went back to Splatoon 2 after playing the Testfire, you could feel the difference. It felt choppier, the movement didn't feel as clean. It's really hard to explain. I can't pinpoint it. I really can't. All I can say is it feels like a Splatoon game. It's the type of game that you can play endlessly and not get sick of it. So if you played Splatoon 2 and you still enjoy it, or even if you still enjoy it, I'm sure you'll find something to love in Splatoon 3 because they made a lot of improvements. First of all, the change the UI. It feels a lot smoother on every aspect. I can finally queue up with my friends. I remember that one time I waited for an hour and a half to get in a match with my friends. In the old system, you had to wait. Yes, one person had to go into a match and then you had to join them. Now we don't have to deal with that. It's also nice that you can see your stats while you're waiting too. So as a streamer, you have something to talk about, something to do. There's a test mode. As for the tricolor turf war, I was not able to try it out. I heard it was unbalanced for the team that was defending, and they were pretty much set up to lose. We'll see how it is on release. Personally, I don't think it'll be an issue. Maybe it'll be map dependent. We'll just have to see. Now, the question for you that I would like you to answer in the comment section, what was your favorite addition to Splatoon 3? And for newer players, how did you perceive the Testfire? Substrafing is still in the game, thank goodness. It was one of the best movement techs in the game. Overall, the game feels more aggressive. The squid roll is something we need to get used to using. I could see the squid roll being insane for frontline players or even backline players who are being harassed. It's good defensively and aggressively. An example is for a charger, you can keep your charge, then iframe splat bomb, and then splat someone with the charge that you kept. It just opens up a lot. Or maps where there's a lot of corridors. As someone throws a bomb, you're not just immediately dead. As for squid search, it sounds niche and needs research. My first impression, that is pretty bad. Every time I've seen someone try to use it, it's killed them. You don't want to linger in the air. People tend to ledge cancel and not stay in the air. So I feel like this is the fun tech that you do to BM your opponents, but not actually good. It might be just the Testfire maps, but most maps that I felt that we played were very heavy on neutral gameplay. Gorge, map with a huge tower in the middle, felt incredibly range focused. You had a charger or a splat lane on top, and I don't know how they dealt with it. If they didn't have the range, there was pretty much nothing they could do. They had to use their specials, but they didn't really get the chance to use them. Understow Spillway is a stalemate at mid. There's a huge bottleneck, and I felt like it was very hard to push or do anything of significance on that map. I might just have gripes on these two maps in particular. I still think there's counterplay, and despite some imbalances, you know. Splatoon 2 had its fair share of imbalances, like Albacore Hotel favoring range, Camp Triggerfish being unpleasant to navigate and play on, but honestly, most of the maps I played in the Testfire, I enjoyed them. I had a lot of fun. I have to say though that my personal favorite map was Mahi Mahi. Now, the good thing about the weapons here, unlike Splatoon 2, is that the specials feel very hard to get. I don't know if it's because we had limited gear, so we didn't have any special charge up, but there was less special spam. It felt more balanced on that side. I did not see many Zipcasters because the Octobrush and Luna barely get to use it. That's a good example of gear that might have a hard time getting their specials. Let me talk about all the new specials. There are a lot of them, and I think it's the highlight of Splatoon 3. The Race Slider is the most notable one. It seems very strong. Every time I've gone against it, I've died, and every time I've used it, I've died in the startup animation. So you can still cancel that, but you have iframes during the whole thing, apart from the start frames. So it seems like a very solid and just a better splashdown overall. The Trizuka, I slept on this special a lot, and I saw someone use it. I'm like, wait, this thing seems busted. The hitboxes seem a little weird, but once you hit, things just die. It's very satisfying. I like it a lot. It'll be good for people who like to play aggressive. Next up is the Wavebreaker. Now, the Wavebreaker has a lot of potential. I think it'll have some problems like Inkstorm, where it's too passive despite good area control. The whole point of the weapon is to displace people, rat people out. My only issues with it is that you can break it for a special that can only do 3 hits. It feels kind of weird that you could just destroy it. The Killer Whale, it seems super underwhelming. It's good, it displaces opponents, it forces them to move back. I'm glad that it's underwhelming because it's probably more healthy for the game. People that play Splatoon 2 definitely know what I'm talking about with the Stingray, where it would just shut down your approaches, and especially in ranked modes. It's not as fun to use, but hey, it's definitely an improvement gameplay wise. I don't know about the triple ink strike. I feel like it needs a buff. The fact that you can't swim while using it, it feels like it's gonna get buffed, like the 10 missiles were, you know, the originally 10 missiles, you couldn't swim with them, and you were a sitting duck, and anybody that just used them, and somebody saw you using them, you were just dead. There's nothing you could do. And oh boy, now we're coming up to the crab. My crab was by far my favorite special. It is just so fun to use. I don't care if it's bad or good. It is just fun to use. And in my opinion, I think it's pretty good.
Jen, tell me a little bit about your favorite special in Splatoon 3.
The crab, I just like, there's really no reason, I just like the crab.
The ink vacuum, I actually forgot that special existed. My friends kind of crapped on it and said it was awful. I personally didn't test it out. It has potential. I guess it could be strong in ranked modes in particular. We'll have to see. The Big Bubbler and the Tacticooler, now those to me are both specials that are going to be meta defining. These are the specials that will help you make pushes and keep momentum. Big Bubbler for super jumping, and then a Tacticooler. You put those two together, and I played against Testfire with very coordinated teams, and every time that they've actually used this combination, it felt crushing. It was very hard to push back. I love that the Tacticooler is a replacement for armor, at least in my eyes, that's what it's like. It would be busted if everyone on the team got it immediately. I love the fact that you have to go pick it up. It just means that you can deny people from picking it up, really, or they will die immediately picking it up. My issues maybe with the Tacticooler is that you keep your special charge. That's kind of crazy, especially I feel like specials are harder to get in Splatoon 3. You're using your inkjet, and in the middle of your inkjet, you die. You keep the charge that you were at during your inkjet. So if you used half of it, you keep half of your charge. That's kind of crazy. Or you had your special and you didn't want to use it, you keep it completely, 100%. And then the respawn is crazy. I could see a meta with comeback and stealth jump. You just run those two together with Tacticooler, make sure you always push with it. It'll be crazy. They didn't really add too many weapons, at least not in the Testfire. I was pretty underwhelmed. No, I'm not gonna lie. The Splatana feels awful. Every time I saw it, it did nothing, and there was maybe one guy in the Testfire that was like crazy good with it, and he only used vertical flicks, but the rest of the time, like it just felt bad. It felt like it got outclassed by everything. Like shooters are crazy, and I feel like it's gonna be like the Undercover Umbrella, where when it first came out, it was really bad. It's still pretty mediocre weapon, but at least it's usable now, you know? But we'll have to see. Maybe if different loadouts, it could have a niche. We don't know. The Tri-Strainer during the Testfire stole my heart. I was trying to test that thing out so much. I really wanted to like it, but man, it's so hard getting splats with it. It's very passive. I find it genuinely difficult to close in on a KO, you know? It's good at controlling a choke point. It's nice, but I couldn't stop thinking to myself, I could do better with an X-Splasher, you know? Otherwise, for the sub-weapons, there was, I believe, just the angle shooter that was added. It's hilarious. I love it. It's a little finicky to use. Like, the aiming it is kind of awkward. I think it's just a question of practice. And splatting people with it just feels rude. And I love it for that. So, some final thoughts on Splatoon 3. Splatoon 3 is pretty much what I expected of it. It feels like Splatoon 2, but just it improved the controls. The graphics are nicer. The lobby system changes is everything when it comes to playing with friends. I won't have to wait for 20 million years to queue up with a friend. New specials to me are the highlight of the game. They went above and beyond my expectations. They're all fun to use. Alright, those were my thoughts on the Testfire. Definitely leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this. I will be streaming this game on twitch.tv/Seggtor, link in the description. I hope to see you guys there. I will be playing with viewers. Mostly, I love playing Turf War, and I definitely want to expand my YouTube channel and my Twitch with you guys. Make this a fun experience for everyone. Alright, see you next time.